All right, good morning. Thank you for coming. And we've got a few different things we're going to go through today, and there's going to be time at the end too, because I want to go. We don't really have much of a real question and answer a lot of times. So if you be thinking about any things that you want to ask about any particular apps, things like that, or if there's any suggestions for apps and stuff, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's over 1 million apps. So in the early days, I used to know every app that came out. That lasted for about the first 4 months because there weren't that many apps. After a while, hey, I had to give up. So this is my info. As I tell everyone, if you text me or you email me, and if I don't respond in 24 hours, then what you want to do is send it to me again, because it means I missed it. And it's not nagging me. It's okay. It's just reminding me. So all of us get called by our friends and our family to help support them on their Macs. Years ago when I was a ski instructor, the rule was you never taught friends or family because there was this built-in stress level and things. So doctors don't work on their family usually. So the whole idea is take that burden out. They can come down to triage. They can come to classes. Let other people be the tech support. Let MacNexus be the tech support for you guys. So, April's a busy month. Does anyone know what April 1st was besides April Fool's Day? You do know, so we'll wait. Okay. April 4th? April 5th? Good. April 10th? April 5th. So we'll just do them one at a time here. April 1st, thanks to Al, he posted on Facebook. I don't use Facebook very much at all. I post my sunsets up there, my sunrises, but Al posts a lot of things on the MacNexus Facebook group, and he's great for that. Lee Hind also does too, and it's a great interactive. It's probably the only compelling reason that you might want to get involved with Facebook. So, do you guys have, you got chairs back there? Good. So, what did we think April 4th was last night? I missed it. I thought it was tonight. The lunar eclipse, the blood moon. I thought it was tonight. Day late, dollar short. April 5th. Easter. Happy Easter, everyone. Okay, April 10th. What? Somebody said something back there. Apple Watch will be in the store. But it's a tease. You can't buy it. Even the $17,000 one you can't buy when you're there. It'll be into the store. It'll be available for pre-order, for try-on. It'll be in cases and things like that. Al, go ahead.
What's the deal about reservations to go in there and have them fitted for you or something? I read something about that.
Yeah, they're going to start. The idea is there'll probably be a line, but you can also make reservations. Trust me, if you're going to purchase a $17,000 watch, it's only going to be in certain Apple stores. They will have a special room for you, okay? Now, not to say that that's rubber-lined and padded special kind of room, but anyway, so there'll be a reservation process. It will be kind of crowded in there. There are some online resources that you can take measurements for your band and your size and things like that. We're going to go over the Apple Watch a little bit today because that was going to be part of Pete's class. Since I was lacking in content, I'm going to roll it into today a little bit. April 15th? April 24th?
First day you can get to buy it.
Oh, I didn't put the watch. Apple on sale. Well, no, it's never on sale. It's the Apple Watch goes on sale. I kind of did that a little quick. Quick picture of, I just found it online. That was a blood moon. It wasn't mine. I just found this was probably the last blood moon. Last night was our third of 4 blood moons this year, which is a very unique experience. September 8th. I didn't put that because it didn't say April in front of it. All right. We've been there, right? Or here. Okay? So, with a little bit of help, We're going to talk about the cloud a little today because that's going to be a lot of it. This will be nice and smooth, and you'll be computing on cloud 9. Don't be intimidated by the cloud. And is there anybody that thinks they've never, is there anybody here that hasn't used the cloud yet? Do you get email? Do you get email?
Yeah.
Do you get email? Who was the other one that said they hadn't used the cloud? Do you get email? Yeah. Yes, you've used the cloud.
Oh, okay.
So, if we look at this little picture, this is interesting. Forget that this says the cloud right now. Let's pretend that Gmail is our email provider. Up here, let's just say that that's the Gmail server. So if I sent out an email to you and you had email on Gmail, it would sit on Gmail's server. And all your devices would go up and query and say, hey, do you have any mail for me? And it would bring down a copy of your email and usually leave a copy up there for you. That's what cloud computing is. So you have all used cloud computing already. It's no more difficult than that. Most of you have been using cloud computing other than mail and don't even realize it. When we buy music from iTunes, if we delete it off of our device, we can go back and it shows we've purchased it in iTunes and we don't have to repurchase it. That's fine. We re-download it. That's cloud. Cloud just means there's a computer somewhere that has a special little spot for your information. Now, at Gmail, their Gmail server has your own right there. There's some chairs if you want to grab one or bring one back there, whatever you'd prefer. There's a couple in the front here. So it's no more complex than that. Okay? Does that make sense? Hard to, where are we missing anything on that? Is it, go ahead.
Okay, you just said that music on iTunes, you can go up to the cloud to get. But you said earlier to me, my music is not on some computer.
Good question. So he said, I told him the music wasn't, I said your music wasn't being backed up to your iCloud. So the difference is your apps and your music don't have to be backed up to the cloud because they live in Apple's iTunes and App Store. So therefore it doesn't need to back those things up when it backs up your iOS device.
So it doesn't use any of that memory?
Shouldn't. It shouldn't. On your computer, yeah, it backs up your apps on the computer so it can do that. So
in other words, like there's two clouds, there's the Apple Cloud, my cloud, and I go up to my cloud, it goes to the Apple Cloud, grabs it, and brings it back.
yes. So we haven't talked about iCloud yet. We're going to in a second here. Again, how many here have multiple email addresses? Okay, so therefore you have your mail in different places, so you have multiple clouds, so to speak. And again, I don't want to, it's important that you realize, hey, look, if it's an email, it's like cloud. You just go up and get it. So it can be scattered all over the place. You can have a Gmail, you can have a Comcast, you can have an Apple iCloud.com address, etc. So it's hard to not overcomplicate this. It usually just works and works seamlessly. Okay? We're going to talk about Apple's iCloud first. And iCloud is changing and morphing like I talked to you about iCloud Drive. It used to be called iCloud. The new one is iCloud Drive. They have a new pricing structure, etc. This is not a complete class on iCloud. I'm just going to get us into the syncing because what's this going to lead to is when I'm going to talk about passwords and iCloud keychain. So if we see that we have, so Apple gives you 5 gigabytes of free space. It's kind of like the drug pusher. They give you a little bit to get you into it. And then for 99 cents a month, you get an additional 20 gigabytes. And that's a lot of storage. That'll handle most people's photo libraries, okay? So you have those options and you can keep going up and up and up if you want. these prices are not likely to go up. They're in fact likely to go down because storage space is getting very, very much reduced. Now, the iCloud can do, when I talk about iCloud from here on out, I'm talking about iCloud Drive, which is the same as the old iCloud for the things we're going to discuss today. It can back up your iOS device, being your iPad, your iPhone, etc. You can still also back it up to your computer, which I highly recommend, because if you do have some sort of failure or loss, it's a lot easier to restore it from your computer. Better to have it in 2 places than in no places, okay?
You should do both.
Yes, yes. And on your phone, it's going to back up your photos. It's basically backing up the stuff that's on your phone with the exception of your music and the exception, well, sometimes it'll do your music, but that and your apps, because it doesn't need to back those up because it can reacquire those from the App Store. Okay, so that's how it saves room. One thing you want to do, and let me go to Reflector here. Many times, if I go into my iCloud settings on my phone and go to storage and go to manage storage, what's interesting is, I don't have enough Apple devices obviously, but I have, what's interesting here is I have one of my old phones on here. Hang on here, we're going to do it on the iPad also. So see, I'm a violator myself. I haven't fixed this yet. I'll tell you in a sec. Let's see. Storage, manage storage. So here's an interesting thing. If we look at my iPad, it says I have my iPhone 5S is backed up, which I no longer have. Actually, I do have that. I have an iPad Air 2, and then my iPad mini is right there. So it says this iPad. So I can delete these other ones if I don't still have the device. It is still backed up on the cloud. Now, if you've given the device or sold the device, it doesn't continue to back up here. These are old legacy backups. Apple's not going to go delete your stuff in case you had that phone and you retired it and then you brought it back in, it would be all your stuff backed up. But you can go right in here and delete whatever you want. Like this iPad mini. I no longer have this iPad mini. So I'm going to tap the iPad mini, because I'm on a mini right here, but I'm on a mini 2 that says this iPad. So if I tap this iPad mini and I say delete backup, delete it. I have now freed up space on my iCloud. I have to get this cord back there because it has a switch that I could step on and turn the projector off. So now that will disappear and give me more space. The iPad Air 2 I still have, the mini is this one. I don't have this iPhone 5 any longer, so I could delete that. What I find interesting is, on my iPhone, there's nothing that says this iPhone, okay? And so when I look here, if I go back and I look at iCloud and go to backup, oh, it's off on this phone. I'm not going to turn it on now because it'll take a lot of bandwidth. But I want to have iCloud backup on, even though I back mine up to my computer, because if you lose your device, everything's going to come back and it's really seamless. Now, the way it backs up is, it doesn't use your cellular connection. It waits till you're on some sort of Wi-Fi. It doesn't have to be your home Wi-Fi, but it also waits till it's plugged into power. Because you would really hate it if you only had 20% of your battery life left and you set your phone down, you got on Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden it's backing up like crazy and it kills your battery. So it has to be on some sort of Wi-Fi, doesn't have to be your home Wi-Fi, and has to be plugged into power. Now, the first backup's big. After that, it's only incremental backups, just like Time Machine. Who here doesn't use Time Machine? You've never been to one of my classes. Do you guys have a Mac? Do you have a Mac? Everybody that raised their hand has to stay after class. There's a 2-hour program on how to back up your Mac. Okay? Go to Costco, go to Walmart, go to Fry's, go to Best Buy, and buy a hard drive. Any old hard drive. Don't get one that says Mac on it because it's actually cheaper and better if you get one that says it's for a PC. And the hardest part of backing it up will be getting it out of the package. You take it home, you plug it into the USB port, and say Shazam, and all of a sudden a screen pops up and says, I see you've plugged in an external hard drive. Would you like to use Time Machine with that? And you say, yeah! And it says, okay. And it says, well, you know that brand new drive that has nothing on it, I'm going to have to erase to work with Time Machine. And you say, okay, and boom. Now, every time that's plugged in, it backs your computer up every hour. Please, 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 back up, back up, back up. Has anyone here ever lost data? And of those people that have lost data, I guarantee you, almost everyone backs up all the time. Yeah, glory, hallelujah, right? This is like, it's almost Easter, right? Evan? So her question is, when you put your Mac to sleep, does Time Machine back up? No, and for this reason. So the first backup on Time Machine backs up everything on your computer. It takes a lot of data. And then after that, if I put 3 new photos in, the next time it does backup, it only has to back up those 3 photos. When your Mac's asleep, is it creating any new data? So therefore, it doesn't need to back up. Now, your Macs usually go to sleep on their own if you've got it set that way, and that's the default. And it won't go to sleep on its own if it's backing up. It'll wait till it's done backing up and it'll go to sleep on its own. But Apple says, you know, there's people that are going to put it to sleep while it's backing up or even unplug the drive or whatever. It's usually harmless. What you do is if you put it to sleep, when it wakes up, it'll just continue the backup where it was. It only backs up new data after the first big backup, okay? You had a follow-up?
Yeah, and so a lot of times, you know, I leave my Mac on all the time.
Right. On but asleep?
Yeah, I just put it to sleep. And then when I want to, like, when I wake up, after I've done maybe a new document that I've spent in and it hasn't been an hour, should I just go up to the Time Machine and have it back up just in case?
So that's a good question. Here's the deal. Just like voting in Chicago, back up early and back up often, okay? If you remember that, you'll do it, right?
Yeah. It's true, though.
Yeah. Well, but not a lot of dead people back up, but a lot of dead people vote in Chicago. So what happens is if you're working on something, it will back up every hour, okay? And it really doesn't slow your machine down. The first backup slows your machine down slightly, but after that it's incremental. But let's say I'm working on the great American novel, and it's been 55 minutes since it backed up, and I'm getting ready to leave the house and put it to sleep and do all that. I can go up to the thing and say, back up now. It'll take a few minutes. You can just walk away. It'll go to sleep when it's done. But if you're concerned about that, yes. Another little thing, if you're working in Pages and Numbers and any of the programs on the Mac, if you've been working on something for quite a while, rather than save, because most of the things have autosave now, quit the program and restart the program, because what sometimes happens is you may have a half hour's worth of work gets lost if some of the program crashes, okay? So quit the program. That forces it to save, not to Time Machine, but it forces it to save it on your Mac, and you come back up, all those signatures, all those nice fonts you've worked on for so long come back. So occasionally quit the program and start again, which actually sometimes really helps too, because sometimes they get slowed down and bogged down. So we had some other Time Machine questions. Go ahead.
Does Time Machine get full?
Yes.
What do you do then?
So you have a home DVR probably, right? Digital video recorder. And you keep throwing new shows at it. You're meaning to watch that old Dr. Phil episode, and you just never get back to it. No great loss, but anyway. So the new shows can bump off the old shows, right? Unless you tell them to save. On Time Machine, it will ask you first, is it okay if I delete your oldest deleted stuff? Now, since we're getting on Time Machine here, because this is critical. I mean, Time Machine is probably the best thing you can do for yourselves.
Can I ask, is Time Machine an app or is
It's built into your Mac.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah. And there's some things called Time Capsule, which are actually physical airports with things in them. But Time Machine is an app built into your Mac. And it'll magically show up if you plug a hard drive in that's brand new, which is interesting. But Time Machine is not called backup. Anybody know why? Because you can go back in time. Steve Jobs is working on going forward in time, but unfortunately we won't see that for quite a while yet. If I go out and I take pictures of the roses, and the neighbor's cat runs by, and I get a picture of the cat, but it's kind of blurry, so I upload those all to my Mac. Once they're in my Mac, the next time Time Machine backs up, it's going to back up all those new. We have 31 photos, 30 pictures of the roses, and a blurry picture of the cat. Let's say 3 months from then, 3 months from when you did that, you go, I need to make room. I don't like that cat, and I'm going to delete that blurry cat photo. It doesn't delete your 30 roses photos, or you can do a couple if you want. So 6 months after that, your neighbor comes over and said, I've lost my cat. And you can go, oh, good, oh, good. Or you can say, oh, I've lost that photo. I don't have it anymore. The neighbor comes over and says, I need to make a lost cat poster. Do you have that photo? And you can actually reach back into Time Machine and recover that deleted photo. That's why it's called Time Machine. So you can reach back in and recover certain things. If you have it set to delete, once it gets full, if you set it to delete after 2 years or so, yeah, that old cat photo will finally get overwritten. But what I recommend to people is hard drives are so cheap, what you should do is when your hard drive gets full, take it out and just archive it and go get a brand new hard drive and start over. Because it secures that stuff, because who knows, but also hard drives are inexpensive. Now, how many here have photos of family members in their Mac? From 5 years ago? Can you ever retake that photo? That trip to Mozambique? So, by having Time Machine, you're protecting from hard drive failure, catastrophic hard drive failure. So, if my hard drive in my Mac dies, I've got my Time Machine backup. If my Time Machine backup drives, I still have it on my Mac, right? I lose all that old cat photos, but I've still got the roses pictures. But if you think of the fires rushing up Malibu Canyon, the people that are home are grabbing all their scrapbooks, all their old photos, right? And they're grabbing their computers these days. But what if they're not at home? The house burns down, they lose their scrapbooks and their computers. If you have anything on your computer that is not replaceable, you definitely should have a secondary backup, especially of photos, okay? Music, you can usually get your music back, that's no problem. But again, that person in your family that you took 5 years ago, or that wonderful trip of the lifetime that you took, you can't redo that, okay? So I have always recommended a second hard drive, and keep it more than 10 blocks from your house. Because what happens if you're at this class right now and you have your computer and your Time Machine backup drive sitting at your house and a meteorite hits it while you're here? You have lost it all. If you had a backup copy of your Time Machine in your safe deposit box, unless it was a very large meteorite, it wouldn't destroy that one. Now, what's changing going forward is we will be able to have our iCloud library up on the cloud, so therefore we will have a secondary place of backup. Important files you should have 3 copies of. The first copy resides on your Mac, which this means is once you have a backup, don't delete it from your Mac, because then it's only on your backup. And that can get lost, stolen, and people always forget where they put it. So, 3 copies. 1 on your Mac, 1 on your Time Machine backup, and a second Time Machine backup you keep somewhere else, and every periodically, if you take a new trip to Brazil and you have a bunch of new photos, bring it in, back it up, and then take it back to there. Or going forward, once we get photos on iCloud Drive, that can work as your secondary or your third location for those things. Yes, there's Carbonite, there's Backblaze. I don't recommend Carbonite. There's Backblaze and stuff. But to be honest, once we get iCloud Drive going, it's going to be seamless in the Mac, and that's really what you're going to want rather than those others. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, what is the link between Time Machine and the external hard drive?
It's just so the hard drive plugs in and Time Machine recognizes it and throws the stuff on it. And it can have 2 or 3 of them peacefully coexist.
So in that case, the Time Machine doesn't get full?
No, Time Machine, okay. Oh, so what's happening is your Time Machine disk, get like a 2 terabyte. They're under $100 these days. You probably don't have a 2 terabyte drive in your machine. So it'll fill it up, but as you delete stuff and create new stuff, it's keeping the old stuff in there, so it can get full. Once it gets full, just get a new drive. But it takes a long time. I mean, it really takes a long time. And you can back up multiple Macs. Do any of you have 2 users on your computer? Okay, it backs up both users. I have my iMac and I have my MacBook Pro, and I plug it in. It says, it realizes that's your MacBook Pro. Okay, I'll back this one up. When it's plugged into my iMac, it says, oh, I'll back that up. I have a 5 terabyte standalone drive I got for $160. Believe me, I won't run out of space very soon on that. I have another device called a Drobo, which is a whole different thing that can store lots of data. But Time Machine is important. Backup, backup, backup. I'm the one that gets the call from you when your computer gets lost, rolled over by a steamroller, or your hard drive dies. Hey, Ken, my computer is gone. My hard drive died. And believe me, I take your data seriously. And I sit there and I hold my breath and I say, do you have Time Machine? And as soon as they say yes, I breathe a sigh of relief and I say, oh, no problem, I can walk you through it on the phone. Because I can. If you buy a new Mac, it's the easiest way to get your information from your old computer to your new one is just use the Time Machine backup. I plug it in. When you fire up the Mac, it says, you got a brand new Mac here. Do you want to use your data from your Time Machine backup? And you say yes. All the passwords, all the photos, everything else comes into it just like that. There's so many reasons to do it and no reason not to do it. I'm sorry? They have to, okay, good question. So what about passwords on Time Machine? To get into that data, it would require the same password you use to get into your Mac. And they're really kind of not in there and grabbable because it's only your Mac can get in and see it. Okay, but that's a good question. It can be encrypted. I don't encourage it.
Yeah, Ken, I always wait for a prompt on the screen to perform the backup.
Are you using Time Machine?
Yeah.
And you have it on? Then it backs up without you knowing it.
But I'll get like an error, not an error message, but a message saying, Time Machine cannot perform the backup.
Okay, and you get that periodically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just go ahead and plug in the article.
Oh, but it's not plugged in. Well, I'm sorry, we missed the first part. You got to plug it in. Unless you have an airport time capsule or wireless. But you wait for the prompt. So let's say there's 30 days. Is there anything you've created in those 30 days that you don't want to lose? You spent 2 hours making up this invoice or doing this really nice Pages document. No such thing as a nice Word document. So why not keep it plugged in? If you have a laptop, there's a place where you usually go and set it and charge it. Plug it in if you want. There are wireless ways to back it up. Is it a little warm in here? Good. Let me fix that. Oh, hey, it got raised. I didn't have that. All right. So when it's plugged in, we got that little caveat out of there. It will back up every hour. Now, occasionally, even though it's plugged in, you'll get the message that it won't back up. That's a periodic thing. Sometimes it loses its way, and usually what happens if you restart your Mac, it'll see it. Just those connections don't always work too well. I'm going to open the door. It's just blasting. I'll get to your question in 1 second. Let me know if that gets too cool, you guys. Go ahead. No.
I think I misunderstood something you said.
That's very possible.
Well, I have a little ADD, so.
Oh, next. No.
You said you can't get to your data on that external hard drive.
No, other people can't get to your data on here somewhere.
Well, but you can't get to it except from your own Mac.
Unless you have your password.
Oh, of the password.
Yeah.
So,
You guys, don't overthink this. You plug it in and it works. And if you have an issue, call Ken. Remember, I might not get back to you in 24 hours. I might be in jail or dead, so remind me. Say, it's a time machine issue, please, 911.
Are we allowed to ask dumb questions?
No, but every question is not dumb.
Well, that's better. What is the difference between iCloud and iCloud? As far as savings?
iCloud is not generally designed as a backup for your Mac. It will back up your iPhoto library going forward. iCloud Drive going forward will have some backup capabilities, but for the time being, iCloud just syncs your data. Just like your mail exists on a server, and yes, it's backed up, but
The time machine is a big cheese, right?
Time Machine is a physical device, okay? Go ahead, Susan, and then back here.
Yeah, where is the physical cloud? Or is it a physical cloud?
Why does it matter?
Because that cloud might get hit by the meteorite.
No, that's a valid question. So that's why I asked, because some people are concerned because of security, others are concerned of redundancy. Your iCloud is on Apple's server in Maiden, North Carolina. The new one, they've just doubled the size in Reno. They have another one up in Washington. So believe me, it's redundant. Because if you think about it, to give you an example, Genentech. Genentech they went back before they got bought. They produced drugs, right, in the Bay Area. The Bay Area is earthquake prone. Genentech says, it would be really smart for us to have a duplicate assembly line set up it's between Davis and Vacaville. Because it's out of the earthquake zone. That's redundancy. Your data is in many spots, and believe me, it's very well protected. Now, if anything could affect where your data is, you won't care about your data, because it'll be Armageddon at that point. Go ahead.
I'm thinking there's some confusion. Isn't Time Machine really the application that does the calculations and does the backup, and it moves the data to whatever device?
To a hard drive.
To a hard drive
Yeah,
device.
let's not get.
Time Machine is.
Time Machine's a program.
It's a program, not a device.
Correct. The device is that external hard drive you buy. Now, there's a little confusion, and Apple has a device called a time capsule. Okay? The time capsule is an airport router that has a hard drive built into it, and Time Machine can back up to the time capsule. And that's really nice if you have a laptop, because anytime you're on your home network, it'll constantly back up to it. You don't have to worry about plugging it in. They start at $299 for a 2 terabyte, and they're a wonderful also router in itself. So we can get in the weeds on all the other things, but you believe it or not, if you have an Airport Extreme, you can also plug an external hard drive into the back of it in the USB and have it back up your devices too. But that would be a call Ken kind of thing. I have one here, and then you, Robert. Go ahead.
I'm having problems with security. I really worry about security. What is security issues?
So You came from a PC, didn't you?
Yeah, but years ago, maybe.
Okay.
I haven't that long time, I just haven't been able to.
Well, tell me, we're all concerned about security. Tell me in what direction is your major concern about security so I can address it.
If the cloud gets hacked.
Okay,
then all my-
great question. So, let's think about Google and Apple. But more particularly Apple. First of all, I don't know if you're aware, Apple protects your privacy beyond what you can imagine. So much so that the iOS devices, there's no back door for them to get in. If you have your phone locked or your iPad locked and someone steals it, even Apple can't unlock it. And by Apple not having a back door, when the NSA says, or the FBI gives them a subpoena, they can say, well, how can we give you the keys to the back door? There is no back door. We don't even have the keys. That's been Apple's way of fighting it. Now, the FBI and the NSA are really pissed at Apple because of that, but you know what? The people in this room are honest and they're not doing any criminal activity. So why not go by it's the old security freedom issue. And so, believe me, now I'm not saying Apple's iCloud is that secure, but I always like to follow the dollars and think about the money is the way you look at something. Apple has to be responsible to its shareholders, which I'm sure a lot of us here are shareholders. So if you're sitting in an Apple meeting and a guy comes up from security in Apple and says, we need to spend $20 million to make our operation hack-proof. Well, in most companies, they would say, the accountant would speak up and say, oh my gosh, that's too much to spend. We'd rather spend that on marketing. Apple and Google are smart enough to say $20 million spent on security is marketing. Because if you think about, if Apple were to get hacked, how much negative effect on Apple's market share and on their viability would that cause? It would cause billions of dollars. So a smart company looks at this as an investment, the investment in security to offset what it might cost if it were to get breached. Believe me, there is nothing more secure than the iCloud. Apple devices are secure enough that the Department of Defense allows Apple devices to be done. You can lock them down. You can make them just totally locked down. So there's always a fine line between convenience and security. And where you choose to be on that line is your own choice. I choose to have convenience overwhelm it. I'm very protected in my identity because I have my credit frozen. No one can, they can have all my information they want, but they cannot open a credit account on my name because I have my credit frozen. Go to clarkhoward.com. We talked about this in one class. If you freeze your credit, nobody can get in. They can't go to Fry's and sign up for a store card or Best Buy. And if you need to go get a loan or do anything else, you thaw your credit for a short amount of time and then freeze it again when you're done. If you're going to get a credit card or getting a car loan, they'll ask. They're going to go to one of the credit agencies. So you find out: are you going to Experian? Are you going to TransUnion? And oh, it's TransUnion. Okay, you get on with your special code. You thaw your credit on TransUnion. They can check your credit. Then when you're done, it goes back closed, and nobody can hack you. It's these credit alerts and all that other stuff. Those are all garbage. Don't do those. LifeLock, it's a scam. Don't do it. Okay? Freeze your credit. It costs you, in California, it costs you $10 per bureau unless you're a senior citizen. You get two of the agencies for free, and the other one you spend $5 for. Okay? clarkhoward.com, look at credit fees, freeze, email me, it's wonderful.
Did you say Clark Howard?
Clark Howard, yeah. Great financial guy. I mean, the guy's just wonderful, but he has a guide on credit freezing. Now, if you're getting a mortgage, you have to unfreeze all of them because the mortgage companies hit all three of the credit reports, which makes sense. Okay? But then you can thaw it and then freeze it back. Anyway, back to the security thing. Believe me, Apple spends a lot of money on security. So does Google. You haven't heard of Google, Microsoft, Apple. They haven't been hacked. Why did Target get hacked? Why did Home Depot get hacked? Because we have a stupid thing here in the US where we have this magnetic strip, or we have our credit card that has embossed letters on it where you could put a piece of paper over it and get the letters off that thing. The rest of the world uses chip and pin in their credit cards. We're rolling out chip and sign, which is so stupid. We should have chip and pin. But until those get rolled out, we're the only country in the world that doesn't use chips. So all the hackers, we're a honeypot in the US, so they go to Home Depot, they go to Target. It's not necessarily US hackers, it's these places going in, and they're intercepting that transaction. That's why you should use Apple Pay when you can, because they never get your credit card number. They get a one-time use number that so what? It's a one-time use number. It just exists for that one transaction. Apple Pay is wonderful. Go ahead.
How do they give you make the credit? Is it like the two-step verification type of thing?
Two-step verification is more of a feature for you, not for them.
But
No.
does Apple Pay use that type of thing? Or?
No, Apple Pay uses my fingerprint and what's called an NFC chip. So you have to have an iPhone 6 or newer, or an Apple Watch with the iPhone 5, and we'll get into the Apple Watch after the break. But it's just once they get rid of that, it'll help a lot. But because the U.S. has not the banks are lazy, and the banks are the ones that take the loss on this thing. That's why the banks are so behind Apple Pay, because it virtually eliminates fraud. You guys probably heard there was some fraud with Apple Pay. Apple's part and the transaction are totally great. What happened is the banks didn't do their due diligence, and people were initiating fake credit cards with the bank, and the bank saying it's verified to Apple Pay. So it was all the banks breaking down on it. Believe me, this meant so much to Chase that Chase had 1,000 people within Chase working on implementing Apple Pay before it came out. And it's the banks, they save a lot of money on this because there's virtually no fraud in Apple Pay. And secure for you guys. All right. So back to the iCloud. So we may have multiple Macs, we have multiple devices. We talked about syncing the photos. The nice thing is I have an iMac at home, I have my laptop I may travel with me, or my iPad. There's talk of a new iPad Pro coming out, a 12-inch, that you probably will do a lot of photo manipulation on. Those will all sync and upload to all your devices. So if you do stuff with your photos, it'll go to your other devices. But right now, go ahead, Mary.
If you haven't, like right now, my iPhone and my iPad.
Can you guys put your phones on mute, please? There's a little switch that you slide to put it on mute. I mean, it's very distractive for other people. It's kind of like when the people have the watches that announce the hour every hour. The people that have the watch never hear it because they blocked it out, but everybody else hears it, okay? It's just common courtesy. Pretend like we're in a theater.
Okay, I've got on my iPhone and my iPad and my computer, I have pictures. I backed up separately the iPhone, say, to the computer and the iPad. But if I want to now change it and just have them backed up on the cloud, can I just flip the switch and say, back it up to the cloud, and then everything will get merged, or will I lose stuff?
No, they're just backed up in two separate places. They don't merge, you don't lose anything. You're just giving it a secondary backup. So don't overthink this, you guys. Come on, it's Apple. How hard was it to do the initial drive? The hardest thing was getting it out of the box.
I will tell you, I bought one of those separate drives. I've tried plugging it in, and it won't back up. So I don't know what's wrong.
Did it say? Did you get a Mac one?
No, I got the. I have a.
Yeah, but does it say for a Mac?
Yes.
Get the one that says it's for a PC. It'll be cheaper, and it will automatically be recognized. Oh, do you want to use Time Machine? Otherwise, just go into Time Machine and set it up. It's a super easy step. Call me. But you can usually get the ones that don't say Mac, and they're cheaper because they're on sale more often. You don't need it to be for a Mac. Time Machine will do it for you. All right. Come on in. There's a seat there. There's a couple here if you'd like. Welcome.
Looking for Mary Mead.
Oh, there she is. Oh. Nothing for us?
Sorry, I'm not.
Oh, jeez. He's going to go down to his car and get the rest of our goodies. Okay? So, go ahead.
When you're retrieving the backup, you look
Why
at,
are you retrieving a backup?
if you want to restore your phone, for some you've got a new phone or you've got problems and can't rectify it. There's a whole list.
Let's not go through it because
Okay.
you wait till it happens and you either call me or go to the Apple store, because if things can happen. If it's backed up on the cloud, it can take a while. If it's backed up to your computer, it's instant. It's also when you get a brand new. So, and I hate to put you off on that, but the problem is only learn it when you need it. And it's really pretty darn easy. But the problem is some people will just do it willy-nilly, and that just is not the thing to do. Was that?
So it's not user friendly.
It's very user-friendly, but it's going to erase what you currently have on your phone and replace it with something that was maybe backed up 2 months ago. And that's bad. So I don't encourage people to do that. Go ahead.
I called ApplePay4 and they went over it with me and it took them over. They said, well, they're scrolling through the dates. And when you said they would incrementally back up if they're already backed up, I thought, well, if you choose the incremental date, you're not going to get the full backup.
Right, so that's why you choose the most recent. Unless it was something happened and you go back to a later version. But again, it's every situation specific to what the problem is. Am I have I got a problem with the phone, or do I need to restore the whole thing? And like if you go get a brand new phone, the best thing you do is you take your old phone, back it up to your computer, your old phone, back up everything, say sync, yes, transfer apps with iTunes and everything else, and then you get your new phone, you plug it in, and it says, well, you have a new phone here. Do you want to restore it from this backup you made this morning of this other phone? And you say yes, and then everything comes over. So there are and kind of the reason I don't want to get it, because there's specific ways depending on what's missing and what you're trying to rectify with that backup. It's very user-friendly to do a full restore, but in some cases you may not want to. I'll give you a perfect example. And this is why you all should have time machine backup. I have a client, and she had taken, her father had passed away, but the October before that, he was playing the trumpet for his wife, and it was the only video recording they had of this, and it was very compelling. At some point, her phone got messed up, and Apple had to erase her phone for her. It was not on the iCloud. I was able to go into her computer, and I found the old restore hidden in there, and I restored that to her phone. We got that video, we got it downloaded, then we wiped her phone again and restored it back to what it was that day. And believe me, it was one of the most fulfilling things I'd ever done, because it was important memories for her. And it's in those circumstances where there's different. And Apple Store couldn't do anything. They didn't know how to do this, so, or couldn't do it. So everything's a little bit, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, everything's a little different, and it could take the rest of the day. So. And if you guys bought your product at Best Buy, if you bought it at Fry's, you bought an Apple product, you get free time either online with them or at the Apple Store. Make an appointment. They'll help you. Yes, you can pay me to do it, but you've got free ability there to do it. You make an appointment, okay?
Basic question. With my iOS devices, do I have to physically connect them to my MacBook, or do I just plug them into a power outlet and all the backups happen?
It can or can't. So basically your photos all get sent up. If you're using the iCloud, your photos get sent up to here, but your videos don't. They get sent up. The best way is with your cord, and let it do sync and let it do a full backup of your device. It doesn't back up so here's what happens. If we think about, you have a hard drive in your computer, you essentially have that in your iOS device. So what backup of iCloud does, it says, give me this whole package and back it up to the cloud. It also says, give me this whole package and back it up to your computer. That's how I could restore it from months ago and get her video out. We couldn't get just the video out. We had to restore the phone back to what it was that day that it was backed up. So that whole package came in. It's not piecemeal, okay? Time Machine allows you to grab some things like that, but the iOS backup is a package. and it's contained in a little package. And in fact, some of you will probably, it's taken up some room on your Mac you don't even realize. But you can't extract specific things.
So if you have several devices.
That's a good thing. Remember, this is a 12-step program for Apple users right here. And there's no such thing as a hoarder. No.
If you have several devices and you have the same apps on the different devices and you back them up to your computer.
So you're saying
Okay, I have.
each one is its own independent little package. But the apps don't necessarily get backed up in that package. On your Mac, they do. But in the cloud, they don't have to because they're available in the App Store.
But, okay, this might be too specific to me, but I have a particular app that I have it on 2 devices, but that app won't talk to.
They don't talk to each other.
On the 2 devices, so.
They never do. No device talks to one another. Everything talks via the cloud.
There's no way to get the data from the one app to the other one.
And that's the problem with the person that developed the app.
Okay, but now we're getting to my real question is, if I back those both up, am I gonna, which one of them is?
Remember when I went to iCloud, I had different iCloud backups for each device. They have their own backup. They're their own package.
And what if I back it up to my computer?
Each one has its own package.
Each one has its own
My
package.
iPad and my iPhone are separate, or if I have 2 different iPhones, they're separate. They're their own little package. And so certain apps allow you to transfer data within them, but that's all incumbent on the app developer.
I just didn't
Some
want-
apps will sync via the cloud, and Apple allows that to happen, like 1Password. If you have your password stored there, it does it back. But that's all up to the app.
I just didn't want the one with 2 pieces of data to override the one with 900 pieces. Of
No,
data.
but you might want to check if the app has the ability to back that data up, and then if it can back that data up, you can bring it down to the other. That's very app specific. Okay. Whew. All right, let's go back to the cloud. Susan, you had your hand up earlier. Did I address your question?
Yes, you did. I said, where was the cloud?
Maybe it was the other Ken. Oh, okay, right, okay.
Yeah,
Good. Wherever it wants. So
up there.
the cloud, again, when we think about the cloud, let's think about it in its simplest terms. If I create a new contact on my iPhone, it can't go directly to my computer. It goes to the cloud. Okay? Once it gets to the cloud, it can come down to my multiple devices. The same thing with calendar appointments. And this is exactly how mail works. I always get the call, Ken, my iPhone's not syncing with my Mac. They don't sync with your Mac. They have this intermediary that they have to use. That's the data center, because let's say that I'm on an airplane and I don't have my phone hooked up to anything, but I update somebody's email address. And at home, my Mac is running. And someone is on your Mac and they're updating somebody else's email address. Well, this one's going to push it to the cloud because it's connected to the internet. When I get off the plane and get on the free Wi-Fi or the cellular connection, this will update it to the cloud, and then it'll come down to here. So you have to have this intermediary because it makes it so there's less contacts, less conflicts. You can always go to iCloud.com, and let's look at this, because this is a little bit. So the question is my phone getting it to there and it's not getting to my Mac? There's a whole bunch of reasons for that, which we'll go through after the break. But let me just show you what happens if we go to iCloud.com. Ah, it wants to fill in my password for me. Should I let it?
Yes.
Why not? All right. So, this looks suspiciously like the apps on your phone. Disregard that. There's more than that, really.
Yeah, I have plus plus.
Yeah, it's No, I'm not a hoarder. I always thought I was until I watched one of those shows. It made me feel, I feel quite normal compared to those people. Because I know as soon as I delete an email, I'll need it. Anyway, I click in here. Here's all my contacts. Exactly like my phone. So the deal is if you're not sure if something's working, you can go in and click on the apps here. Now you'll notice there's the new photos coming up here. Okay. So I click here. Photos is in beta. Believe it or not, your pages, numbers, and Keynote are here also. Preparing my library. I don't really have much of my stuff up here yet. But the ability to have all your stuff. I'm looking right at, I am in what I'm looking at when I go to iCloud.com is I am right there. That's the data that makes it to the cloud. Now, how many here have data where you put a contact in or an appointment and you put it on one device and it doesn't show up on the other?
I used to.
Okay. Sorry, class is over.
You said it was okay.
What? So the deal is while iCloud is, let's get off of the photo. Oh, that's my few photos I've put up on there. Okay. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you a couple things, and this is where you guys are going to have to refer back to the recording. This is the call I get the most, and to be honest, it's one thing where once it's set, it's great, but you may need someone to help you go through this. So let's talk about system preferences, and I'm going to have my iPad up. So let's just concentrate on calendars, and then you'll see how everything else falls into place. So if I go to my iPad and I click on, or your iPhone, don't do this now, we're going to refer back to this. Mail, contacts, and calendars. And now when I scroll down and I look at, I have contacts, then I have calendars, okay? So let's forget all of this stuff and I say, what is my default calendar? So when I tap on my default calendar, I have a few to choose from, correct? Now, my default calendar there, and I'm going to go to my Calendars app on my Mac, and I'm going to go to Preferences. My default calendar here must coincide. The default calendar means if you don't select any other calendar, this is where it's going to make that appointment. If these are not in sync, it's not likely it will show up. Many of you will have it where it says on my Mac or on my phone. You don't want that. You want all of these to be within your iCloud. There and here. These are in my iCloud, okay? You have to have them in sync. My phone's the same thing. So, write that down. Make sure default calendars are the same. And they have to be iCloud. If you're using a Gmail, that's okay, but you just don't want it to say on my Mac, or you don't want it to say somewhere else. Like if I go here, see others, yeah, luckily I've gotten rid of on my Macs. Because if it's on your Mac, it's just that. It's on your Mac and only on your Mac, and that used to be the way we kept it. Your stuff may have gotten imported over the years from that way, but you have to make it default. So any new appointment I make from this day forward will automatically go to that one, but I can still choose to put it on a different calendar. We're going to show you how to do that. Go ahead.
Ken, is that why when I sync my, all my items that sometimes I get duplicates or three of the same thing in the calendar?
No.
No.
Are you entering it only one time?
Well,
Or do you enter it 3 different times on each device and then that causes it?
no.
See,
no.
So just check this. If this is right, you shouldn't get duplicates or triplicates.
Okay,
I said shouldn't. Not everything's perfect. Go ahead.
Lately, when I have made an appointment on my calendar, whether it's on my iPad or my iPhone or my Mac, the time that I enter, let's have class at 9 o'clock. When I finish, it pops up as 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. It does not record the correct time.
On all your devices?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll need to look at that specifically because there's what's called time zone support. You have to make sure your Apple is on the correct date and things like that, but we'll have to look at that specific. And you had a question?
I just wanted to review what you just said. So what you're saying is that I have to have it on default calendar on my devices and my iPhone.
On the same default calendar. They'll all have a default calendar. They have to be the same as your default calendar because, and I'm going to show you in a second why this is. So, go ahead, Carol.
And where do you find the default calendar on your iPhone?
Okay, if I go in, it's the same thing here. So let me get Reflector up. And again, your iPhone needs to be the same as your iPad. Yeah, I'm getting it up, so to speak. So if I go to settings, it's the same thing. I go down to mail, contacts, and calendars, MAIL, since we were just talking about that. Nobody got that one. All right. If I go down to calendar. Now, you may not have one that says default calendar. If you only have one calendar and there's only one choice, it's obviously the default calendar. So don't worry if you don't have something that says default calendar. But if you do have default calendar, you click on it, and you have to make sure these are all the same. Okay? Go ahead.
I just checked mine, and the default calendar.
Now that he brought your iPad to you.
Now that he brought them, I thought I was going to sit down. That they both say computer here rather than cloud.
But computer's the name of the calendar. Is it under iCloud?
No, they're not under iCloud, but they're syncing.
Right. Well, computer just happens to be when you name that calendar. Where is it? Tap on it here. Tap on it here. You got your calendars. Mail, contacts, and calendars. I got it. Default calendar. Oh. Your default calendar is not computer. Your default calendar is Spirit. Your default calendar here is computer. And it's under iCloud. They're not in sync. They will show up, but I'm just saying, ideally you want them to be the same, and I'm going to show you why in a second here. This all go ahead, Leslie.
I just checked both of mine, and the default calendar is the same, but I always have 2 or 3 entries for something.
But that's going forward, you won't get 2 or 3 if these are in sync.
You've got 2 each.
But I just.
Yeah, they're 2 different calendars, so I can turn those off because those are holidays calendars, U.S. holidays. See, those aren't entries; those are subscribed to calendars.
Where's the picture?
Right there, probably somewhere. I don't care. U.S. holidays, right there. See. So let's not worry about that. Holidays are a whole different deal. So I'm in my work calendar now. What that means is, if I make a new event. Let's see, test today at 3 p.m. That's all I have to write, okay? Boom, there's test at 3 p.m. I can still change it to any calendar I want, but default goes to this calendar, okay? I made the event. And how did I make that event? I simply hit new event, and then I typed in test 3 p.m. today. It knows what you want to say. You don't have to go through all this pull downs and all that other garbage, okay? But I can tell it to be a different calendar if I want it to, okay? I'm going to delete. You can. You can be like one client that has 30 calendars. And frankly, I think it's foolish. Why make it more manageable? I have one main calendar I use. A lot of my other ones are subscribed to calendars. I have another calendar that I share with someone with my brother, so therefore that's a separate calendar, so I only have to share that calendar. Okay. We'll have a calendar and mail, mail and class and everything, but let's show you why this is important. My calendar is up on your screen. Scheduled dentist Monday at 10 a.m.
Okay, I set up your event for Monday. Shall I schedule it?
Yes.
It's on your calendar for 10 a.m. Monday.
Now, because my iPhone, that's my default calendar, it's going to do it. Because why go through the pain in the butt of going in and going to calendar, adding event, and doing all that when I can just let Siri do it for me on my iPad and my iPhone? So, and default calendars have to be the same for everything to sync, because I get that all the time. Ken, I made this appointment, it only shows up on this one device. If you're using the same default calendar, it will always show that, because there's also a setting where instead of a default calendar, I don't think they're doing it anymore in the newer operating systems. Yeah, see, selected calendar. If I actually was sitting on here and I was in the Sharks calendar, let's say, whatever one I'm clicked on is the one that it's going to be the default calendar right then. Well, why make it change all the time? Have a default calendar. You can always change it once you do the appointment. But believe me, for ease of not getting duplicates or triplicates and all this, keep a default calendar and have them consistent amongst all your devices. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, can you, for simplification's sake, merge calendars?
No. So the thing to do is, rather than merge a calendar, what you do is, if you're going to use one calendar going forward, make that be your default calendar. Your old legacy stuff will be there, but anything you create going forward will be on that calendar. Okay? You can merge calendars, but only by going to each particular event and changing the calendar it's in. And that event. Changing it to whatever calendar you want it to be, that's effectively how you merge it. There's no automated way to merge all of them. But if you have a correct default calendar going forward, you won't need to. Go ahead.
Can you use Siri or just type in dentist 10, say 10 to 11:30 on Monday? Something like that?
I don't know, let's try it. Because the default is 1 hour. Scheduled dentist Monday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay, I can create your meeting.
Yeah.
Note that you already have an event about dentist at 10 a.m. Shall I schedule it anyway?
No.
To continue, you can confirm, cancel, change the time, or change the title.
Cancel. Damn it, do it.
Okay then, I won't create the event.
You don't want to piss Siri off, okay? And then you can have the guy's voice too. Not that he's any more accommodating, okay? So, you notice I waited till she beeped out. I didn't want to. Well, I've about had it with you, Siri.
Okay, give me a moment. I found this on the web for one hot-headed with you.
So, Siri, you need a moment?
Thanks for that, Ken.
All right. So, as we get more automated, you can see why that default one is important. Now, your contacts are kind of the same thing, but it's not as critical, but it's exactly the same way. You have a default contact or group. Your main group is where you want it to go into. But that's where the cloud will work great, is because we can do all of this. Same with reminders, same with notes. They all want to be on the same one. If we're in, just so we can follow this through right before the break here, if I go into my internet accounts on my Mac, and I go to, for instance, my iCloud, I can go here. Let's go to my Notes application. Oh, actually, I'll go to my, Notes. So if I fire up Notes, Accounts, I want, you know what, it doesn't give you a chance. I think I only have one Notes account. But you shouldn't have multiple Notes accounts, and I'll show you what's cool about Notes. So if I go to notes, I can say, add gasoline to my Costco note. And anybody know how ironic that
Okay,
is?
I updated your note.
Electric car? Come on, people, you're lacking. So delete gasoline from my Costco note. Not sure
I
it'll
can't
do.
delete
Yeah,
notes. Can?
can't do that. But if I delete it from my iPad, let's say,
Let me have a look. Okay, I found this on the web
Siri,
for if I
Siri,
delete it
relax,
from
it's
my
okay. Relax, Siri. So if I go to my Costco note on my iPad, I'm going to delete gasoline. Manually. I had to do it manually. And now it'll be deleted in a second here from my Costco note on my Mac. See, it got deleted. On notes, the first line is always the title of the note. And when you tell Siri Costco, you have to enunciate the C, or the T rather. And the first line is, like I say, the name of it. So it helps a lot to make it be something not long and like cabinet 16 inch by 20 deep or whatever. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a break. And you guys can, remember we're on the second floor, so we're halfway to the cloud. Guys, there's munchies and things downstairs. Come back in 10 minutes if you could, and we're going to go over and talk about keychain in the cloud, which is a huge deal. And then we're going to talk about the Apple Watch. Okay? You can take a number and get in line over here.
Okay, this has been bugging me. I want to do a new event without clicking on there,
Okay?
and that's all I get.
Just type what you want to do. When do you want the event to be?
Oh, so you override that?
Just type. Just say Dennis 2 p.m. Monday. Monday. Just like I said with Siri, there's suggestions. Just hit return and it creates the event. See? It's easier than you thought. You used to have to do it your way. Then if it doesn't do it correctly, you can go in and modify it kind of the way you already did. You'll be after Carol here. How's that?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I've got an issue with my email. One of my email accounts. It's a Google, a Gmail account.
Okay.
And it's an old one that I have set up in the place I used to work. I deleted it. It's not on these. But every time I start mail, it says, I need the password for it.
Go to mail.
I've gone to mail.
Go up to mail preferences. Set it here. Oops. Oh, it's fine. So you have.
This is the account.
Okay, so if we go to preference, mail preferences. It's probably in here. One of these
Well,
it? Is one of these it?
I don't think so.
Is that it?
Nope.
Is that it?
Nope.
Is that it?
Nope.
Okay. So you're going to want to delete it from here if it's here.
Okay, it should be Pierre Killing HFA, and that's the word at gmail.com is what it is. No, I don't see it there either.
Well, it could be. Is that it? No? Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so just delete that. iCloud is using that as an outgoing, so you're going to have to change your outgoing.
That's what's going on. Okay, that's why I kept telling you. Okay, thank you.
The reason I never use contacts is because it never works like everybody else's. I don't have any menus there.
Menus?
Yeah, I don't have a column here to work with, and I don't have a menu.
Because you're on an iPad.
Well, you were using an iPad and this morning, weren't you?
No?
I thought you were on an iPad. So it won't have, how do I work it?
Here's your calendars.
Yeah, I'm
But
on.
how do you work it?
Then I have to do, I can't work any of these menu.
There's no menus there to work.
So if I want to enter something, I just do it.
Schedule dentist today at 4 p.m.
So there's nothing movable.
Okay, I set up.
Okay, but
It's on
now,
your calendar for 4 p.m. today.
if we go back to your calendar, you hit plus and create a new event right here.
Manually, okay.
Manually or with Siri, but you have to do it manually here too. You just don't have those same options. You don't have pull down menus, you don't need it. The only thing you have here is this, and in mail contacts and calendars is where we do the default calendar.
Yeah, and I did check that out, and I've
And
only
it should be
got-
the same as on your Mac.
And it is.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome. Watch the cords.
I will stop your recording.
Oh, thank you, Carol.